Welcome to the Relationship School podcast. I'm Ellen Boeder.
And I'm Jayson Gaddis. Psyched my wife is here to break it down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about some attachment dynamics. And this is for you, really, if you're the person that needs more space in the partnership. And I know a lot of you listeners might not be that. You're the person that wants to talk about it. And you're like, no, I don't want space. Space is painful. So this is probably helpful for you to listen to understand the person who wants space.
Yeah.
So we're talking to you, space takers, right? First of all, as we said on our little Instagram post, distancing. When you distance, it's not bad or wrong, and you're not bad or wrong.
Yeah, for doing it.
Doing that.
And often it's mostly because it's just what you know how to do. When you're under stress, you work with that by yourself. You deal with that alone. You go inward. You don't have a lot of words. You sort of process, and it takes so long time, and you need to be alone, and that's just how you do it. So we're saying that there's probably a reason that why you've learned that. It probably worked for you somewhere in your past with other people and seemed to make things better.
Yeah, if you think about when you were a kid, you took space because it was relieving, right? It was like, get away from the family, or you got sent to your room, or you started to learn pretty quick that relationships weren't a source of resourcing, so you just isolated.
Yeah.
And it felt better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you got sort of good at figuring it out by yourself, and that became way more comfortable than trying to talk it through or work it out with somebody.
Yeah, because that never really went well, probably.
Right.
Yeah, so one of your superpowers, of course, is your independence, taking space, like your ability to stand on your own 2 feet and figure it out by yourself. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it has serious limitations in long-term relationship as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, the distancing is probably starting to have a big impact on your partner. And that's what you have to start appreciating, is that for them, that's maybe one of the worst things you could do is pull away, withdraw, go and be alone for a long time when you and your partner are not okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now you're adding 2 more layers of stress or another layer of stress. You had the initial fight or disagreement, and now your space taking is creating another layer of stress for your partner.
Right. And you're coming back to someone who's even more upset.
More upset now.
Either more now they're withdrawn, or they're so angry they can't talk to you, or
they're going to come
whatever.
at you, with a lot of energy that wasn't there before, and you're like, whoa, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Which isn't going to have you want to move forward anymore. But you have to see your part in this. You know, that by withdrawing and maybe not communicating or doing your habit, you could be making it worse.
Yeah, and what Jayson said there, withdrawing and not communicating, that seems to be a really important piece. It's not so much that you need time and space to yourself to sort through things. It's that you don't communicate in a considerate way to your partner about it. Mm-hmm. That you just sort of go and do that, or you leave the scene, or you just stop talking, or you guys have an argument and days go by and you still haven't come back to it. That's what's stressful. It's the lack of communicating about, hey, I need some time and space, or I don't really know how to solve this. I'm going to go think about it and I'll come back. Establishing how much time you're going to take. Anything, any kind of communication, recognition would go a long way. Yeah. That's like going to be a big game changer, I think, if you can do that.
Huge for your anxious, kind of ambivalent, wavy type partner. All right?
Yeah.
I think that there's a really important question you got to ask yourself that, Ellen, you like to remind me of, which is so key, which is, does this relieve my partner or not? In other words, does my space taking, is that helpful to my partner and good for our relationship? This is a really critical question.
Yeah, because it might be good for you as the distancer. Like, I feel way better when I walk out of the room, or way better when I'm sort of out hiking for 8 hours by myself, or whatever it takes. Yeah. But that might be creating a lot of stress for your partner and for your relationship. So something to look at.
Yeah, and again, chances are it's not relieving to them.
Yeah.
See, the thing that you have to keep orienting yourself around is the other person.
Yeah.
Because you get very self-focused, just like they do in their own way. We're going to talk about them in another episode.
Yeah.
But you get very self-focused on how can I protect myself and kind of get away from this threat. And I don't even know what's going on maybe, but I just know that alone time is better. So you completely lose sight of the other person. And if your space taking is helpful to them, and most of the time it's not, is this going to really help the relationship? That's very different than going on a hike for 8 hours or doing something that's resourcing where I come back to the relationship reconnected, rejuvenated, and it's like, all right, let's do this.
Right. And if you've communicated about that, hey, I'm going to take this time. I'm thinking about this. My intention is to come back and work this out with you. Like, that could be totally different. That could go really differently.
Completely.
So it's a lot of thinking about the impact over there when really all you kind of want to think about is just getting away from what's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're asking you to empathize with your partner here. And we're going to ask them to do the same thing for you.
Yes.
So no worries. It's not just your problem here.
Yeah.
It's both of your problems. And then I think Ellen said this, but put a time limit on your space taking. That can help. I know that's very difficult to do for some of you island types, distancers. And it can really, really be considerate of your partner. Like, hey, I just need like an hour. I just need to talk about it in the morning. I'm not available right now. Anything that would give them, hey, I notice this is upsetting. I do care enough that I'm going to come back around eventually.
Yeah.
That's what a time limit does.
Yeah. Even better, if I could just add even better onto that, is like,
please.
I really want to talk about this in the morning. I don't feel up for this right now. And I see that that's hard for you to wait.
Oh, that would
like
be amazing,
something like
right?
It's hard for you to wait for me, and I want to do this at a time when I can really actually have this conversation and do it better.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That would feel so good, right?
Yeah.
I just imagine any of you waves listening or anxious types like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, oh yeah, you're considering me. I mean, we want to be considered. That's partners want to be considered, and they want things to feel fair. So whether you're a distancer or pursuer, in that dynamic, both of you want fairness and you want consideration and you want to not be made wrong for how you cope with things. So we're trying to address that.
Yeah. And then I think I'm going to go into the final step. Do you want to anything else? Yeah. Just finally that when you're not in this place of feeling stressed and like you have to take space, you want to have agreements around this or some good communication about this dynamic. This is a very common dynamic. You're very normal here. Yeah. One of you is usually pursuing, one is distancing. That's kind of the deal in long-term relationships.
And it might flip-flop over time too.
Yeah,
like
totally.
You know, if you're together a long time, that might
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. But usually someone comes around and says, let's talk. And it's really amazing if you can do that once in a while, by the way. But come up with some kind of agreements and just like, hey, I acknowledge this is our dynamic. I tend to withdraw and retreat, and I imagine that's hard on you. Is there anything you'd like me to do differently? And hey, can I make a request of you? And, we just have a nice, cordial conversation about it instead of you always, you never, and it's kind of stressed and we're both feeling really triggered. And
you won't or I can't. And, obviously it's ideal if at some point when you're not in those spaces of feeling agitated and frustrated with each other and wanting to go cope however you cope, if you can talk about it in a way that's more considerate and plan for when it's going to go off track a little bit because it's going to happen.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, so, these are, 5 to 8 tips here for you. Hopefully they were helpful for you folks that do want more space sometimes because this person gets on your and all you kind of know how to do is retreat. So we just want you to challenge yourself here. And of course, if you're the anxious partner and you're welcome to share this with your partner. What would be a good way they could share this with a distant partner?
Oh gosh.
Hey honey, do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's no foolproof way, but I think that when you're connected, when you guys are feeling connected, that's the best time to bring things up. That's often when couples don't want to, because like, oh, I don't want to talk about like the hard stuff,
night or whatever. Yeah.
Right, but it's like, wow, we're feeling good, and like, hey, I listened to something that I think would help us, and it's helping me understand you better. So I'd love for you to listen to it and see if it resonates.
Yeah,
because I think it might be helping me handle you.
Yeah, beautifully put. Nice. Let's end on that note, Ellen. So here's your action step. Do one of island types, distancer types, avoidant types. If you listen to this, take one thing we said and implement it today. All right. And then if you're the more wave, anxious kind of pursuer type, maybe you can just start to have a little more empathy. And yeah, maybe do what Ellen suggested there. And if you want to share it with them, I liked what she suggested in terms of the how.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, thanks again.
Thank you.
And again, come hang out with me on training, where you can ask me a question live, relationshipschool.com/training, because we got lots of juicy stuff coming up. And yeah, more to come from Ellen and I. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Share one of these videos with a friend. We want to help the planet get their act together around relationships, and you are one of them, so thank you.